transition yourself, we'll go on to the next item. And the next item is bringing us back to Citizens for Global Solutions. And earlier I made reference to our outreach efforts. So that's what we're going to take a little bit of time to look at now. At Citizens for Global Solutions, we actually have developed 7 different teams that are working on different kinds of outreach. And on top of that, we have an 8th team that's providing support for the other 7. So each of the team leaders will take a moment to let you know who they are, what their team is working on. And again, I want to remind you that you can toggle back and forth between gallery view, in which case you see all of us. But if you want to see a particular speaker, you can go to speaker view. And you do that in most computers, by going to the upper right-hand side of your screen. You'll see the word view. You click on that, and then you could select gallery or speaker. So you can see just the person speaking, taking up the full screen, or see the whole group in front of you. So with that, I will turn to first the head of our newsletter, which is called The World Citizen, Janet Mercer.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. It's really great to see everyone. I'm in Baltimore. I've been an administrative coordinator for CGS for 2 years now, and I'm kind of a techie nerd geek type of person. So the things that need to be done on the internet are kind of my area of strength, shall we say. And one of the most important things that we do is send out an email newsletter using the software package known as MailChimp, which is very easy to use and easy.
Janet, I'm sorry to interrupt. If everyone could mute themselves, because we hear some background noise. Thank you.
Okay. We use MailChimp to send monthly emails to a subscriber audience of over 8,500 people. Each month we try to spotlight a particular program or event depending on what's coming up. We like to try to grab attention using images and videos to show supporters what CGS is doing with World Federalist issues and what our most recent activities are. We also like to include a short update about other things that are happening and tell the story of a special volunteer each month. During 2020, we have featured a lot of information from the UN 2020 program and how people could get involved with that and subscribe to their information as well. The newsletter, we also include an upcoming events calendar, and we also include, of course, an opportunity to donate.
Okay, and if people want to get the newsletter, how can they do that?
There's a little box on the bottom of the website, on the bottom of the homepage, or actually on every page. All you got to do is put in your email address and click subscribe. We don't have to have your first name or last name or anything. It's super easy. So if you're not subscribed, I'd really encourage you to do so. You get a lot of up-to-date information.
Thank you. And if you haven't been to our website, it's globalsolutions.org. And then you can subscribe to the email newsletter, no charge. Okay, thank you, Janet. Next, heading up our journal, which is called Mondial, which one of the translations from the French is of the world. There are a few other ways to translate that. And that is Donna Park. Take it away, Donna.
Thanks, Bob. So some of you already got to meet me a little. I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. I didn't tell you that. I'm a retired associate director in research and development at Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati. My degrees are in math with a concentration in statistics. My jobs were in statistics, data management, document management, and regulatory operations in the global pharmaceutical industry. And I'm chair of the board of the Citizens for Global Solution Education Fund. I chair the executive committee, and I'm on all of the committees, actually, several of the teams. I'm supposed to tell you what I do, but I do a little bit of everything, so it would take too long. So Mondial, the team that I lead, responsibility is to create and distribute the US edition of our journal. It's available in print as well as on our website. We do it in conjunction with the World Federalist Movement of Canada. But ours is called the US edition. The team members, beside myself, are Peter Orvetti, who spoke a little earlier. He is our editor. Janet Mercer, who just spoke, is responsible for distribution and providing all the images that go into the newsletter. And also Bob Flax is on our team. We work with the CGS Strategy Committee to help identify our articles and authors. We have produced 4 editions so far. The editions come out twice a year, and we're currently working on our 5th edition. We would welcome new members, love a new team leader, or authors. Anyone interested in writing articles should just contact me and let me know. So I think that's what I would have to say. Did I forget anything?
No, you got it. Thank you, Donna. David Gallup heads 2 teams for us, our multimedia production team and our Peace and Justice Studies outreach team. So I'll let him describe those to you. Take it away, David.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you here tonight. And as Bob may have mentioned right at the beginning, I'm a human rights lawyer. I'm president of World Service Authority. I'm also a CGS board member, and I wanted to talk to you really quickly about the 2 different teams of which I'm the leader, which is the multimedia production team and the Peace and Justice Studies outreach team. So first, the multimedia production team, all you really need to know is that we provide support materials for other teams like brochures, flyers, slideshow presentations, like PowerPoint or Prezi. And the purpose really of this production team, multimedia team, is to provide share the concept and history of World Federation with the general public. We also want to engage the public in the work of Citizens for Global Solutions, as well as get new members and people to sign up and to sign on to all of our actions and campaigns. One accomplishment is that we've had multiple presentations, that is of our team members and other board members who've provided presentations around the country, both in person prior to the pandemic and some virtually. One of the ones that I'm most proud of was one that I did with a presentation with Bob of the film The World Is My Country at the Canadian Museum for Human Rights, the only human rights museum in the world. So that was really exciting. We had many Rotary members who came to that. Just really quickly, some future plans for our multimedia production, which I think you might find interesting, is that we're hoping to create a digital and searchable archive and catalog of World Federalist materials and World Citizen historical materials that we would put online on CGS's website. Of course, this could be 10 years down the line because we have to get funding and archival assistance on this, and eventually create a virtual museum that people could visit no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have a phone or computer. We want to provide webcasts to local branches of Citizens for Global Solutions, as well as other World Federalist groups. And in the long run, also produce a documentary on the history of World Federation, similar to the film, The World Is My Country. And so if you want to schedule a speaker, I'm going to press enter. You can see in the chat, you can reach us at outreach@globalsolutions.org, and you can schedule a speaker on World Federation, on world citizenship, on dealing with climate change, inequality, injustice, the pandemic, whatever you'd like. And my email's there too if you want to reach me personally. Now I want to move on to, because of time is of the essence, to the Peace and Justice Studies outreach team. And that team is meant to share also the idea, the concepts and history of World Federation, but much more specifically with students and professors, especially those who are either studying or teaching peace and justice, conflict resolution, political science. We want to recruit new volunteers and interns to work with Citizens for Global Solutions. And we are working as a partner with World Service Authority to promote a new program called World Citizen Clubs. And the website for the World Citizen Club is also in the chat. So we have already provided presentations on World Federation and world citizenship to students at schools like American University, George Washington University, Xavier University, just to name a few. And we've already established 2 World Citizen Clubs, one at Webster University in St. Louis, and a new one we're just starting at University of Colorado in Boulder. So I'm excited about that. We would have launched more. This really just started last fall, but then COVID got in the way. But we have joined the Peace and Justice Studies Association, which coordinates efforts and events for the 400 or so peace and justice studies programs around North America. So we've joined them, and we did present to them also tabling in Winnipeg, Canada last fall. And I would say for the future, we are going to be working with Young World Federalists, the Young World Federalists group that has recently had its year anniversary. So we're really excited about that, to create more world citizen clubs, which I'll talk more about on Friday. So I won't talk more about that tonight. But a few other quick things that we're hoping to do in the future is maybe create a world peace box, which would be literally like a box that we could send to primary and secondary schools, which would have maybe a copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, little buttons or world flags and other things that students could actually physically look at and touch once students are back in the classroom. And that would be an invitation to have us as speakers come and speak to those students, even at primary and secondary schools. We want to potentially create an online or an in-person music event, like a World Peace concert that would involve maybe our World Citizen Clubs, and that could potentially be a future national convention for Citizens for Global Solutions. And of course, another ultimate goal to really get into academia as one of the sectors of society that we're dealing with is to develop curriculum on World Federation, on world citizenship, and get that to the professors and teachers at all levels of education to really give students and teachers this idea of what is World Federation, what is world citizenship, and why is that so important for a just, free, peaceful, sustainable world. So if you want to find out more about the club, go to worldcitizenclub.org. It's in the chat. We are definitely seeking new team members. We need help. So if I were to ask of anything else, I would say, please join our team. It's a very enthusiastic team. So I want to thank you for this time to be able to tell you about both of those teams. Thank you.
Thank you, David. David and I both come from the East Coast, and we keep having a competition for who speaks the fastest. So you might have won that for this round. So moving on next, board member Andrea Dolahan is head of our social media team, but she had a baby yesterday. So she's not here to talk to you. She did say to us that she's been very committed to growing our movement, but I had no idea how personally she took that. So little baby Nina was born yesterday. We got pictures, a healthy 8 pounds, something ounces baby. And Andrea told us she's going to try to join us with the newest World Federalist on Friday, if she's able to do that. But since Andrea can't be here, Janet assists her as assistant team leader on the social media team. So if Janet, you would tell us about that.
Okay. We're definitely, of course, looking for ways to increase our visibility to the public. You know, we want people to know about us, what we exist, what we're about, and to get involved. So we've created a core social media team of experienced and engaged volunteers with social media expertise, which is meeting monthly at this time. Of course, Andrea is a slacker, she's not coming. In the short term, we're working specifically to increase likes, follows, shares, retweets, all that stuff. Our long-term goal is to increase public awareness of the organization and what our mission is, to educate them on the issues that we care about and the ways that they can help participate. We're also at this time developing a content team. We're just now getting that rolling to help provide graphics and text that will be compelling calls to action. If you would like to participate or send content in any way, just please send an email to outreach@globalsolutions.org, and I would love to have your input.
Great. Thank you, Janet. Okay. Board member Larry Wittner heads up our breaking news response team. It's a mouthful. So I'll let him describe to you what that is. Larry?
Hello there. I'm a professor of history emeritus at State University of New York at Albany. And for many years, I've been active in peace organizations and in labor movement. I've also written a lot of books and articles, particularly on issues of war and peace. For about the last year and a half, I've been a CGS board member. And more recently, I became the leader of the CGS Breaking News Response Team. The Breaking News Response Team was developed as part of an attempt to provide greater public outreach for CGS, especially in dealing with major contemporary issues. This past summer, we began to explore the development and distribution of op-ed pieces that would help popularize the idea of strengthening global governance, and if possible, mention CGS along the way. Toward this goal, we assembled a team of writers, most of whom had publication experience and a knowledge of some major world issues. Starting in August, we generated 6 of these opinion pieces and arranged for their distribution. This resulted in a total of 40 placements of these op-eds in 26 different publications. In fact, they might have been run in other publications too, but these 40 placements were the ones we could track down through a Google search. Unfortunately, we've not yet managed to break into the nation's major newspapers with these op-ed pieces, but we're developing an effort to do that by encouraging well-known public figures, for example, members of the CGS National Advisory Committee, to write them. We have also developed a list of holidays and major public events as useful news hooks for future op-eds. Additionally, we're exploring the idea of developing background position papers on major contemporary issues that would be helpful to the writers of these opinion pieces. Although we have also given some thought to issuing press releases that seems beyond our capacity, at least at present. If you have writing experience, especially in connection with producing op-eds, and would be interested in doing some writing for us, or perhaps have good connections with editors of newspapers or websites, please get in touch with me or with Bob Flax. My Gmail address is Larry Wittner, written as one word, LarryWittner @gmail.com. Thanks very much for your work. And I hope some of you will be contacting me, volunteering to help out in these ways.
Great, thank you so much, Larry. So last but not least, we have our Speakers Bureau, or I should say Speakers Bureaus, plural, and our website, and I'll speak to them. As far as the Speakers Bureau is concerned, we actually at the moment have 3 different Speakers Bureaus that are targeted to 3 different audiences. So one is one you've already heard about. David Gallup talked about our Speakers Bureau that is outreaching to the 400 peace and justice studies programs in schools around the country. When we presented to their association last year, we had a number of people coming up to us and giving us their business cards to go to their schools and talk. But obviously COVID put the kibosh on that. So we will start that up again once we're past the pandemic, and we're also developing some online presentations that we can do as well. Then we have a general speakers group that speaks to general audiences and local libraries, other universities, places of that sort, and that's been out and doing their thing. And last but not least, we have a group headed up by David Orton that is targeted to speak to religious and spiritual communities, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, and all that. Because as you may know, many religious traditions talk about some type of global authority that speaks to, that has a vision aligned with ours. So at the moment, we have 3 different groups of people talking to the population that wants a speaker. In addition to that, we are in the process of just starting now to redo and redesign our website. The current website that we have, even though it's visually stunning, it was designed years ago, before a lot of the programs we're doing now. So we are in the process of redesigning it to have all of our new programs, new activities, and most of all, to tell our story in more persuasive and powerful ways and reach more people as a result, as well as having a variety of campaigns and archives, kinds of things you heard about earlier, on the website, having that be a richer resource. So again, if you're interested in any of those activities to be involved, or if you want to know more, if you would, the email address is outreach@globalsolutions.org. It is on your program, on the cover of the program. So if you forget it, you can go there for that. And you can go to, you could access it by going to our website as well. So we actually picked up a tailwind, and we are a few minutes earlier than planned. So
we could accept questions if anybody has
you read my
questions.
mind. You read my mind. So yeah, Donna and I have this psychic thing going on. As a friend of mine once said, you have ESPN. But anyhow, so yeah, so if there are any questions to any of the outreach leaders, we have time. So you could raise your hand either in the hand box, or you can raise your real hand. We'll take both. Obviously, if your picture is hidden, you have to do it in the participants box. So any questions or comments? I see Simon, and then Karen. Simon, why don't you go first?
Yeah, we heard a lot of important material this afternoon, but it's not easy to remember every single word and every single concept. Is there, to go to the writing of these, the written parts of these programs, how do we access them? How do we go and find them?
Yes.
In order to learn more about this and remember, because we cannot obviously remember all these facts unless some of you.
Anything, yes, thank you for the question. Anything that's not currently on the website, that's not explained there, just send an email to outreach@globalsolutions.org. Your email will be referred to the proper person who can answer you directly. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I saw a second hand that I'm forgetting who that hand was.
Karen Stone, Karen.
Great, thank
Karen
you. You just need to unmute
Tad,
yourself.
Tad also had his hand up. Tad.
Terrific. Okay.
I would just like to say that since I've been absent from Global Solutions for about 10 years, that you have added so many wonderful components to your work. It's great to see, and more people working on it. Thank you.
I will say we have, as you can see, we have quite a few supercharged people. And it's wonderful that, as someone said earlier, that everyone wants to save the world, but they're doing something about it. So it's terrific. Thank you, Karen. And Ted.
Karen, it is so nice to meet you, Karen. I have seen your name for so long, and I just want to thank you. It's great to meet you. Thank you.
Terrific. Ted, you're up at bat.
Yes, welcome back, Karen Stone. I remember Karen Stone from years back as well. Happy to have faces old and new. Bob, I guess it was about your presentation many moons ago. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to make a very precise comment about it. It was really a terrific, comprehensive sort of, here's what the big vision is, and here's our plan for how we might get from here to there by the year 2045. So I really applaud that kind of comprehensive framework. Having been back at this for a while, I wanted to draw a distinction among the people. Let me start again. You drew the distinction between the people who really wanted to talk about the long-term vision and how to get there. Let's convene a World Constitutional Convention or an Article 109 Charter Review Conference versus the people who wanted to focus on the short-term steps. I wanted to remind us that among those people who want to focus just on the short-term steps, there was an additional dichotomy. And it was those people who wanted to work on short-term steps, but talk about the ultimate goal of something like a world republic, versus those who thought we had to be quiet about that, who treated it as embarrassing, something that we had to keep a secret. And that to me is one of the greatest flaws in my 30 years one of the greatest missteps, I should say, in my 30 years involved with the movement. We should always, I think, speak openly about what our ultimate goal is and try to counteract this notion that it is somehow utopian or frivolous or embarrassing and inherently something that will lose us supporters. It might lose us some, but it will gain us a lot more of the many visionary people that are out there who I think intuitively are open to hear our message.
Great. Thank you, Ted. Any other questions or comments directed to the folks, the team leaders of the various outreach teams? Want to make sure all of those people get a chance to ask if you have a question. Going once, going twice. Okay, terrific. Well, our next time segment is an intermission. Let me just explain, we have some shorter breaks